But I'll say for me, I would put this as one of the worst Marvel movies, if not worse than Eternals for me. And I'll tell you why. It's because it's a self-inflicted wound and it was unnecessary. It's to me, the movie felt episodic. We got to go here. We got to get Riri from MIT. We've got to go do this thing. We've got to go do that thing. You know, like it was all over the place. It felt more like a Disney Plus series that they could have broken up into 20-minute episodes with, 9 minutes of credits. And I think that decision to kill the character is going to be devastating. When George Lucas was writing the story for The Empire Strikes Back, he actually consulted a child psychologist and asked, what would the effect be of kids learning that the hero's father is the villain Darth Vader? How is that going to affect children? And I don't think that they have kept in mind children and, dads bringing their sons to this movie to see the character that they beloved with their Black Panther pajamas at home. How are they going to feel about doing that? They made a choice to do this. This is, I think, a colossally bad decision that will kill the franchise. I think it was an emotional decision that was motivated by Ryan Coogler reacting to the real death of Chadwick Boseman and the cast for that matter. It's tragic. Maybe he shouldn't have been the one to make the follow-up if they were going to recast. And I think and look, there's a reason recast T'Challa like trends every month or so. Maybe even every couple of weeks, you see recast T'Challa. People love that character. And I just think about the kids. Who are they looking up to, right? Like, look, just the toys, the kids, that there is a fandom around that character for sure among children. And you make this conscious choice. I mean, that would be like killing Harry Potter because Daniel Radcliffe died. Like, you just don't.
I totally agree with that. And I think the biggest problem Disney has with this is that they left themselves no way out. They literally killed T'Challa in the film. They kill him off, right?
I mean, let's ask this question. I mean, what would the story have been had Chadwick Boseman not died? I think we would then have a Black Panther movie that we wanted to see, but they were forced into having to tell this story, and that's the problem. Let me speak the story just for a second.
I disagree.
They could have kept the same story. It could have been T'Challa versus Namor. Like that could have been the story.
But I'm saying the overall emotional impact of the movie would be so much different had Chadwick Boseman not died and had he been the star of this movie versus what they were forced into telling this story because he did pass. And we could keep talking about recasting, but it's too late. The movie's been made. I mean,
but okay, let's take it a step further though, right? Say they did recast T'Challa. Whoever they would have chosen to replace him would have been under a microscope. He
wouldn't have lived up to Chadwick.
Constantly compared to Chadwick Boseman, right?
It's happened. Look, I mean, look at James Bond as a franchise, right? There was Sean Connery, Roger Moore, Pierce Brosnan. I mean, Daniel Craig, every James Bond. Oh, I don't know. Can he fill the shoes? It's a different take. It wouldn't have been what Chadwick Boseman did, but it could have been a new, fresh take on that character with new attributes. I don't know. It's like, I feel like they didn't have to go this route. This is why I disagree with you, Alan. They were not forced to tell this story. They chose to tell this story. And by not recasting T'Challa, they are going to disappoint. Kids are going to go into this movie, and I think it will be traumatizing.
Okay, but Chris, you have to understand this too. If you're Disney, right? And Ryan Coogler, who's already made you $1 billion, says, I can do this story. As Disney, what are you going to do? Are you going to say no to the guy who's already made you $1 billion that, you don't trust him to do it again? Like they rolled the dice, right? They rolled the dice and said, you know what? He did it once. He could probably do it again. And here's the thing. I guarantee you it's going to do well. The movie's going to do well. People are going to watch this film. The problem is that it's not going to be the takeaway they got from the first film. And I keep bringing it back to Namor for me, Matt. I think that Namor was the weakest part of this film. I agree with our friend Weber on that. That was not the guy we needed. Okay, if you're not going to have,
let me address that for a second.
Then you need somebody strong, a strong male to hold this film together, and we didn't get that. And the two strong males we did get only got 10 minutes of screen time.
Well, yeah, and let's actually talk about that just briefly.
Yeah, let me
I want to mention that Winston Duke as M'Baku is in the movie.
Yeah,
he's great. He's fun. He's a little comic relief. He's a strong.
What he does with the carrot is
what's that?
What he does with the carrot is amazing. I mean, that was the response from people were sitting there quiet until Winston Duke walks in and takes a bite of a carrot, and the entire audience woke up at that moment.
Right, but it's also that, and like, look, and this is, I mean, it's out there. I don't know that you consider it a spoiler, but Michael B. Jordan's in the movie. He's briefly in one, not briefly, but he's in one scene in the movie unexpectedly. The movie comes alive when the male characters are there. These female characters, the ensemble, Angela Bassett's probably the best. I mean, she's the most experienced actress. And someone just mentioned to me that she was in consideration to play Storm in the 90s. Which I think would have been awesome.
Yeah, I mean, she brought the emotional weight to the film.
Right. If anything, she was the best actress. I don't necessarily agree with you on Letitia Wright. I think she's a good side character. That's what I said. No, I agree with you on that. I'm saying she's a good. I said she showed growth in this film, but no, she's still not the person, like I said, to carry this franchise forward. Yeah, and
if she becomes Black Panther, I don't know that she could carry a third Black Panther movie.
No, I don't think so at all. I think that would be a mistake. But I'll look, I'll be honest. Her being, the Black Panther in the film,
maybe.
Well, I mean, in this film,
what do you mean, maybe?
Right.
We gotta at least do some due diligence.
You guys can do spoilers, man. Anyway.
No, we're just doing. Look, should we change this to spoiler? Let's just have the conversation. But you were saying, Dante, sorry.
Yeah. No, so my point is that if she's the Black Panther, it wouldn't have been so bad if the rest of Phase 4 wasn't so quote unquote MCU, right? Like if it wasn't for She-Hulk and Miss Marvel and all these other things that Disney has done over the past year that have kind of feminized the MCU. And ladies who are watching this, please understand, I'm not saying this to be sexist or, saying that women can't lead a film. I'm saying that Disney handled it the wrong way is what I'm saying, right? So if that wasn't such a big issue, I think, Shuri possibly being Black Panther wouldn't have been a big deal, right? But the fact that we've been bombarded with all these other kind of pointless, shows and, characters, it kind of just added more it added fuel to the fire of the MCU being a thing, right? And everything being female led now instead of having strong male characters, right? Love and Thunder, another one. It's like it's just, I think Disney didn't do themselves any favors, and by them, choosing to go this direction, they kind of shot themselves in the foot in multiple ways.
Well, the other thing I will point out, and I've mentioned this before, I think that the reason that there are so many female fans of Marvel movies, MCU, is pretty, and we saw this evolve because Dante, you and I have been going to San Diego Comic-Con for a while. Yeah. And I remember if you went to San Diego Comic-Con, even in the early 2000s or the 90s, right? And you saw a woman at San Diego Comic-Con, it was like you saw Bigfoot. Because you don't see a lot of women at Comic-Con, but I believe that the MCU not only made like geek culture mainstream, but also it created a lot of female fans of Marvel, and not fake fans. Okay, I'm talking about women who love Marvel movies and then get involved in the merch and whatever. And can I tell you why that happened? Because the male leads of the Marvel movies were popular among men. They were also popular among women. I believe that both men and women like to see a strong male lead in a film. That is a fact. I'm sorry. There's other videos on our Film Threat YouTube channel. If you look up Topless Avengers, we compiled a video by phase of all the scenes where male Marvel characters take their shirts off.
Which is pretty much all of them.
It's all of them. They all do it. You sign up to be in a Marvel movie, you're a guy, you are going to take your top off.
And if you're Chris Hemsworth, you show your ass.
And more. but I'm just saying that like with this, and that's fine. I love the fact that like, what does it take? Someone even described once for me the first Avengers movie as like a Chippendales show. It's like all these sexy, you know, buff men. That is an attractive feature to both men and women. So now you take that away, and the moments that come alive is when Winston Duke is on screen. He, to me, is like every time he was on screen, it's like, I'm back and I'm interested in this movie. Then it got to all of the ensemble of female characters where I didn't understand what they were trying to do. And I will say this, the actress who plays Riri Williams, I think that she's fine. Actually, she's kind of likable in the sense that she's kind of the comic relief, but her storyline with being this genius at MIT, making basically an Iron Man suit. And then Eric Weber pointed out there's an action scene on a bridge where she's in this suit. Does she like flamethrower a bunch of people?
You know what? For some reason, like I saw when he said that, I don't even remember that. I don't remember her doing that.
Well, see, that speaks to the problem I had with the movie. You know, Dante, you talked about the story being solid, and I agree with you. Right. I think if I were reading the story of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, that's a better movie than the actual movie, and a lot of it is the muscle and the skin that they put on that structure, and the action sequences in this movie I was not even close to being impressed with. The whole
they felt more cartoony in this movie.
So the whole bridge sequence, there's a car chase because we're on a bridge, and then Riri Williams flies in her Iron Man suit, and it just felt like you know, down in the bottom half of the screen is the car chase, and on the top is the CG Iron Man suit, and then the fight sequences were just so subpar. It was very hard to follow the actual action of the fight, which is the number one important thing you need to do when you shoot an action sequence, is to make sure the audience is following exactly what action is going on, where the swings are being made, where the punches are going. And in this movie, this movie should have been a lot better than it was, even with the story that was being told.
See, I felt like some of the weaker action moments came from Namor, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't buy him at any given moment. Like, even when he's flying around and doing all these things, I never felt like we were watching a badass. You know what I mean? I never felt like we were watching, you know, a menace, right? Like, I mean, look,
he never came across emotionally as a villain of some sort. We talked about he should have been more like Dr. Doom, but in this movie, you know, there's a moment we're supposed to like him and connect with, you know, his love for his country. And you know, Black Adam, he should have been more like Black Adam in the sense of I'm protecting my country and I'm going to do whatever it takes, kill people in order to protect it.
Like, I know that they weren't trying to necessarily use or try to even mimic the Namor of the comics, which is unfortunate. But even if you just took the characteristics of Namor from the comics, right? He's a dick. He's arrogant.
He's trying to fuck Reed Richards' wife.
Yes, he's an adulterer.
The bad boy, yeah.
But
he's a homewrecker. Namor's a homewrecker.
But more than anything about Namor, though, and at least from the comic, is that he is a menace, and he's a badass. And at any time when Namor's around in the comic, you know things can go horribly wrong, right? And we never got that from this actor. I wish I could remember his name, because he's not a bad actor. I've seen him in other things. Great actor. He just was not the guy. Yeah, he just wasn't the guy for that role. You know, it's unfortunate.
Well, it's bad direction. He wasn't given the right direction in terms of.
Well, no, not just direction. He didn't have the look. He didn't have the look, right? Like Weber was right about the fact that, you know, Namor, if you're only going to wear a Speedo, if that's your costume, then you better be ripped, right? Like, you better be fucking built, right? He's not that guy. You know, he has a very average, normal, everyman body, right? And that's not what you want Namor to look like. You know, Namor needs to have a swimmer's body at least, and, you know, muscles everywhere. And you just never felt any kind of, like I said, menace from this guy. You know, he's on screen. Most of the time he's coming off like a nice guy, which was weird to me. And I get he was trying to Shuri to team up with him, but it just, I didn't buy him. And unfortunately, if you don't buy him, then the movie just falls completely apart.
Yeah, I agree. You just didn't feel any sense of gravitas or weight. Or, I mean, look, what if Namor had a hand in the death of T'Challa? At least would have added some motivation, right?
Yes, I totally agree with that.
And this is what, I mean, we started this conversation talking about how I believe they should have recast T'Challa. The fact that, like, T'Challa's death happens off screen, I think is a terrible decision. Look, they put Carrie
but I think that was done out of respect, though. I think that would have been hard to
look. Carrie Fisher died before they made The Rise of Skywalker, and they put her in the last Star Wars movie, right? They used footage that was shot from other pieces, right, of Force Awakens and Last Jedi, and they were able to put Carrie Fisher in, and her character does pass away. That makes sense. It's the last Star Wars movie, whatever. But Black Panther should be a franchise. There should be 9 Black Panther movies and 3 different actors that play the role. I think this is a huge mistake that Disney's going to pay for. And I think it was terrible to not at least see him to say goodbye, have a moment. Like, they've got footage. You have all hundreds of hours of footage of Chadwick Boseman. You couldn't have used it in some way. You couldn't have, like, had him in some act of self-sacrifice, and he knows he's going to die. He takes the mask off, and you just see that it's Chadwick Boseman. He knows, but he's sacrificing himself to save Wakanda. It would have been a weird thing to say, but a glorious death.
No,
right? And that happens
I totally agree with that. I think that would have worked so much better if they did it that way.
Yeah, and they choosing not to do that was a huge mistake. It was a huge mistake, and I think that this story, the more I thought about it after, because we all walked out of the movie, like, everyone was quiet. Did you notice that, like, the movie ended, we all walked out and everyone was just quiet? Then we got out and we were like, what the hell did we just see? Then we just couldn't. We were talking about it, trying to process it. And the more I've thought about it, the more I dislike the film because of the potential it could have had. It could have reinvigorated. It could have also been a tribute to Chadwick Boseman. It could have been a tribute to him. They could have done a tribute. They do a tribute in the Marvel logo in the beginning. There's a little montage at the end, which people have talked about. Like, okay, that's it. You know what? Leave that in the film. That's fine. But bring in someone else to take up the mantle. Right? Or even have, like, Killmonger have something of a change of heart, some way to get him on the throne or whatever. Like, just like Michael B. Jordan would have been awesome. You would have been great. And I don't know.
We talk about Jonathan Majors could have been a great replacement.
There's a lot of actors that could have stepped in with a different take or what. We've got a lot of. I just want to get.
By the way, I'll just say this: you can leave during the credits.
During the credits.
Once the mid credits.
And also, really quickly, I just want to state that the runtime of the film didn't do the film any favors.
No,
the runtime was just it was way too long.
That's an understatement.